You wake up on 6 inches of mattress. Your dog has claimed the rest, and honestly, you let them. If you do this, if you sleep with your dog curled against your legs, your back, or directly on your pillow, someone has probably said something about it. A partner, a parent, a friend who winced just slightly when you mentioned it. They said it was unhygienic, codependent, maybe even a little sad. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you wondered if they had a point. But here's what nobody actually asked. What if everything they said was backwards? What if sleeping with your dog isn't a sign of something missing, but a signal of something most people never even develop? So, who actually does this? It's not who people assume. It's not someone lonely or someone who has given up on human connection. The truth tells a different story, and it begins with a particular kind of person. You might be someone who notices things others miss. The shift in a friend's tone, the look on someone's face before they say they're fine. You read rooms the way other people read words, naturally, almost automatically. You might be someone who finds small talk exhausting, but real conversation energizing. Someone who would rather sit in comfortable silence with someone they trust than fill a room with noise just to fill it. You tend to be deeply loyal, not loudly, quietly. The kind of person who shows up, who remembers things, who doesn't need to be asked twice. And here's what's interesting about all of that. Every one of those traits points to the same underlying thing. A particular kind of emotional wiring that makes sleeping next to a dog feel less like a habit and more like a need. But why this behavior specifically? Why not a blanket, a fan, white noise? Why a living, breathing animal? To understand that, you have to look somewhere most people never think to look. Inside your own nervous system. Your nervous system is ancient. And it's always listening. Right now, it is scanning your environment for one thing: safety. And it doesn't care much about logic. It cares about signals, temperature, rhythm, proximity, breath. Pause. Then warm fascination, not performance, genuine. And this is where it gets fascinating. When you sleep with your dog, your body registers something very specific. The warmth against your legs, the slow, steady rhythm of their breathing, the weight of them settling beside you. And your nervous system reads all of that as safe, calm, stay. This is the polyvagal response at work, your autonomic nervous system dropping into a rest and digest state when it detects cues of physical safety around it. A dog's body provides almost all of those cues simultaneously. But that's only half the story. Because at the same time your nervous system is settling, your brain is releasing something else entirely. Oxytocin, the bonding neurochemical triggered by touch, by closeness, by warmth. Physical proximity during sleep takes that even further. Your nervous system isn't being fooled. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do. The behavior isn't strange. The biology is just working. So if the science supports it, why has modern society spent the last century telling you it's wrong? That answer doesn't come from psychology. It comes from history. And it says more about culture than it does about you. Imagine it's 400 years ago. You live in a small home. There's no central heating, no electric light. Winter comes early and stays long. At night, your family pulls close, and so do the animals. Dogs sleep beside people not because of sentiment, but because of survival, warmth, protection, presence. This wasn't considered strange. It was simply life. Then something changed. The Industrial Revolution didn't just reshape how people slept, it reshaped how they slept. Private bedrooms became a marker of prosperity. Cleanliness became a moral virtue. And gradually, the presence of animals in sleeping spaces shifted from normal to unrefined. Sociologists call this cultural norming,
the way that what was once arbitrary becomes perceived as natural, correct, and even moral. Pointed, a little dry. The judgment doesn't come from science. Holding weight, each phrase adds a layer. By the 19th century, hygiene ideology had turned the shared sleeping space into a symbol of backwardness. And that belief calcified, passed down through generations. Wry, almost ironic, until it became the quiet wince your friend gives you when you mention your dog sleeps in your bed. Two short truths, land them both. The judgment isn't ancient wisdom, it's a relatively recent invention. Quiet, final, slightly protective, and it was never really about health. Energy lift, forward momentum, something bigger is coming. So the science validates it, history normalized it, but here's what psychology adds. Slow down, this is the real threshold. And this is where the behavior stops being about comfort and starts revealing something much deeper about who you are. Measured, narrative, storytelling mode. In the 1950s, a British psychiatrist named John Bowley made an observation that changed how we understand human behavior. He noticed that people, from infancy through adulthood, are wired to seek proximity to what he called a safe haven figure. Someone whose consistent presence tells the nervous system, you are not alone, you can rest, you are okay. Matter of fact, no drama. Bowley assumed this figure would always be human. He was wrong about that part. What has since been understood is that the nervous system doesn't require the safe haven to speak your language, share your history, or understand your problems. It requires something simpler: consistency, emotional attunement, non-judgmental presence, warmth. Warm voice, genuine admiration for this truth. Dogs fulfill every one of those criteria, often more reliably than people do. They don't withdraw when you're difficult. They don't keep score. They don't need you to explain yourself. Name it clearly, not clinical, affirming. This is what psychologists now call interspecies attachment, a legitimate, functional bond that operates through the same psychological channels as human connection. Warm, validating, speaking directly to the viewer. People who describe their dog as their primary attachment figure aren't lacking in human relationships. They simply have a nervous system that found something real, something that works, and held on to it. Two short lines, land them both. That's not a flaw. Slight lift, almost proud. That's adaptation. Thoughtful pause, then curiosity returns. But attachment theory doesn't fully explain everything. Not everyone who deeply loves their dog sleeps with them. Some do, some don't. And intrigue sharpens, rhetorical hook. And the difference between those two groups turns out to be surprisingly revealing, because the experts can't actually agree what it means. A little uncomfortable honesty, grounded, not alarming. Here's where things get uncomfortable. Measured, fair, giving the other side its due. Not every researcher agrees that sleeping with your dog is a good thing, and their objectives aren't nothing. Clinical tone briefly, letting the evidence speak for itself. Some sleep studies, particularly those tracking light sleepers, show co-sleeping with a dog disrupts sleep architecture, more micro-awakenings, shallower sleep stages. Slightly heavier, this is the serious version. And some therapists go further, flagging the behavior as a potential avoidance pattern, a way of meeting intimacy needs through an animal rather than doing the harder work of human connection. Flat, deliberate, a breath. That's one side. Energy shifts, pivot, curiosity returns. But then there's the other. People who sleep with their dogs show lower stress levels the following morning, better emotional regulation throughout the day, and higher reported satisfaction in their human relationships. Pause and let the question sit. So which side is right? Quiet, knowing, almost a smile in the voice. Both, and that's exactly the point. Precise, intellectual, naming the concept. Psychologists call this the function versus symptom distinction. The same behavior in two different people can mean two completely different things. Warm contrast, painting two pictures. In one person, sleeping with their dog is an extension of a rich, emotionally connected life. In another, it may be a quiet retreat from one. Clean, clear, this is the thesis of the chapter. The behavior itself is neutral. What matters is the psychological landscape beneath it. Direct address, slightly challenging but kind. Are you someone who sleeps with your dog and also shows up fully in your relationships, present, open, connected? Softer, more careful. Or does your dog's presence feel more like a shield? Warm and reassuring, speaking to the likely viewer. Most people who find themselves drawn to a topic like this already know the answer, and most of them are in the first category. Forward momentum, pulling them deeper. But knowing which category you're in requires going one layer deeper,